Okay. Good morning. My name is Chris Brown, and I'm the Career Enhancement Advisor for Royal Roads University. And I'm here with Matt Dodd and Mickie Noble, and both will introduce themselves, and we're going to talk careers.
Okay, my name is Mickie Noble. I'm Assistant Professor in the School of Environment Sustainability, and I focus primarily on undergraduate programs.
And I'm Matt Dodd, and I teach both in the BSc, the undergrad program, and then the master's program, so I know a bit about both programs. And I'm mostly involved in the chemistry side of things, so all the courses involving remediation, industrial processes, contaminated sites, that's the type of things that I do. And I also supervise some of the master's students in some of their research work.
So, thanks. And my role at Royal Roads, I get to work with prospective students, current students, and alumni. And I get to help with notions around career decisions and career management over time. And I think one of the things we'll talk about today is the notion of why people come to Royal Roads for our programs. And maybe, Mickie, you could talk a little bit about how students come to us in the undergrad side.
In the undergrad side of things, there's really two primary ways that students come. If they're attending the on-campus program, which is a one-year program where you finish your third and your fourth year of university in one calendar year, most of the students in that program come directly as transfers from colleges, whereas students that come to the distance version of that program usually have the house, the spouse, and the kids, so picking up for a year and coming down is not an option. So they enroll in our two-year program so that they can continue to work at the same time as they're pursuing their undergrad degree. So more of those students have a significant amount of environmental work experience, and they're really looking to move up in their company, usually from the person that goes out and collects the field samples to somebody that's more in charge of analyzing the field samples, writing the reports, and interacting with sort of higher level decisions.
Right. And I think one of the things that I see about our students at both levels is that they're very practical, that they're very, they're looking to get to work, and they know what field they want to be in, and they know where they want to be, or at least they think they know where they want to be. That can change. And Matt, you were saying earlier when we were talking about how some people choose our programs, again, very practically, at the master level, what are they looking to do?
So we have examples of engineers who don't have the environmental knowledge and want to be more involved in environmental work. So they'll come to our programs, the Masters in Environment and Management program. So they will hone their skills in the environmental area. So the program deals heavily with environmental management issues. So you learn more about the holistic approach to dealing with the environment, not just from the technical side only, but from the management, systems thinking, ecology, and so it's a really good fit for people who want to know more about the environment issues and in management positions. And then we also have people who may have a pure science background, like chemists, who want to know more about the environment. And so the program, so we have students who have BScs in chemistry, in biology, in geography, and then we have people who have PNs and engineering degrees coming to our program. And then we also have people who have the environmental background but need to get a master's to move up in terms of the management ladder. So they'll come to our programs to get that knowledge base that is required for advancing in your field.
We've also got a really strong program for people that are really interested in the environment and how you communicate that environment to people. So lots of teachers, people that are interested in doing media stuff tend to be really interested in our Master of Environmental Education and Communication. So it gives those folks, particularly those that have got sort of a more creative or educational bent, a real outlet for doing some really creative things with their thesis and for really allowing them to expand some ideas about how to talk about the environment so that people really get what the message is, rather than kind of putting it off and saying, oh, well, it's just somebody being, you know, overly excited about something.
Yeah, and the notion that environment and other things is the career path, right? That, you know, it's not necessarily that anybody's going to be an environmental officer exclusively, but it's a big chunk of a person's time and career. And I think that's one thing I wrote years ago. I wrote a brief article about how most of the programs at Railroads University didn't exist when the study didn't exist necessarily. Nobody was really putting there. I don't say nobody, but it wasn't common to put environment and management together. It wasn't common to put, to have a leadership program for that matter. And I think that's been an interesting part for our people, people looking at our programs.
Yeah, and actually on that, we were one of the first schools to put together an integrated environmental sciences program in all over Canada. And right now, most universities are copying our model.
Yes.
Yeah, we can see BSc in environmental sciences programs springing up at UBC, SFU, and all those big universities. There never used to be such a program because most of the traditional academic thing had to be either chemistry, biology, physics, math, ecology, but not integrated.
Even in those new programs that are coming up, though, those new programs don't look like us, because even though they're offering for instance, BSc in environmental science, it's usually you usually have to do it through interdisciplinary studies. So it's not a cohesive whole.
Right.
It's I take this course from this department, and this one from this department, and this one from this department,
and then it all goes together.
Hope it all goes together. Whereas our stuff is really much more defined, and it's purposefully integrated because it's coming out of one department in a way that you really don't get anywhere else. And even if you hopefully have managed to twig on all the threads you want, you don't get that teamwork, the cohort experience where you've really got that lived experience in the classroom where everybody's a learning community and they are supporting each other. And we're not having that, well, I'm competing with you because we happen to be in the same class. Right? There's a lot more emphasis on I'm supporting you because together we're much better.
Right, and the project will be better and the outcomes.
And that's a huge difference compared to what you see at most other universities.
I agree.
Yeah, the cohort model that Mickie's talking about is one of the biggest aspects of our program. So all the students work together, go to the same classes. Basically, you're like buddies together, so it's a very big difference compared to other programs out there.
Yeah, and I know from my experience with employers is that they say, I tell our, one of the happy messages on day one for our students is, I get to go and say, I feel really confident on your behalf because employers like our grads. And employers like our grads because, and they say this, that they're better prepared to do a day's work sooner than some other students, because of the nature of the program, because of the nature of the learning, the teamwork stuff that you both have talked to and spoken to, and the whole idea of doing projects in the community and those kinds of things that make them, and get them prepared in a way and give them project experience that people want right away.
Well, a lot of those projects, some of them are some of them are purposely built into the curriculum. Some of them are side projects that we're running, like outreach programs and that kind of stuff. But those projects often turn into real jobs. So, I mean, I've had a number of BSc students over the years that are now teaching middle school science, or they're teaching high school science, not because they came into the program thinking, ooh, I want to be a teacher, but because the experiences that they had while they were here made them really excited about the idea of being able to go out and share that stuff with the next generation of kids. Right? I mean, the BSCs have a bit of a joke. Yes, we're corrupting them one grade at a time, right? To help students understand sort of how they fit into the world. And that's kind of a piece that doesn't often get kind of looked at, because people kind of say, oh, I'm going into this because I want to be, an environmental consultant. Well, environmental consultants aren't the only thing that comes out of this program.
And I think that's one of the things that I speak with students about, is that one of the best things about our programs is they're not prescriptive. They're not like a teaching certificate or an engineering certificate or a social work degree where But they're also, one of the worst things about our programs is that they're not prescriptive, right? That, you know, you can't just say, well, I'm going to come out with, you know, the environmental officer's role, or that it's, you know, that people have a chance to go and find where they want to use the new skills and the new knowledge. Can you think of places where you've seen that?
Yeah, actually, thinking of some of the past students, because our programs are integrated, you take a bit of chemistry, biology, ecology, economics, law, and at the end of the program, you might find, oh, I find really environmental law more interesting than the chemistry. And so we've got students who have come into the program and have gone on to environmental law. We've got students who have moved on to toxicology. So because you get exposed to all the different areas, at the end of the program, you might find that, oh yeah, I think I prefer this part. Whereas if you had gone to a traditional chemistry program, you wouldn't have had a chance to study law and then find out, oh, I'd rather be an environmental lawyer than an environmental chemist.
Right.
And so that's one of the strengths of our program. You get introduced to all the different, and then you might find your niche. And so you have students, we have students who have gone on to become medical doctors, economists, hydrologists, the list just goes on and on.
School teachers, environmental consultants, had one dental assistant, 2 PhD students out of the BSc program. One of the professors that's now teaching in our program was one of my first BSc students in this program.
That's right.
So yeah, we've had there's lots of options. I think one of the other things that the programs in our department are really quite good at, because you spend a lot of time on project-based stuff and it's all about setting goals and figuring out what you know and what you don't know and how to get to what you don't know. I think it gives people a much better opportunity after they've had that exposure to all those things. I think it gives them more self-awareness to sort of sit back and go, okay, I've looked at this and this and this and this. Now, where do I want to go from here? And a much better way of making a plan to roadmap where they want to be.
Right. Yeah, and I think it's still, and always will be, and hopefully, you know, always will be, and functionally will be, the fact that we won't have environmental specialists as much as we'll have people with environmental awareness, environmental knowledge, and it's integrated into their work, right? That it's not just going to be, you're not just going to be the environmental protection officer, you may be part of a team that's involved. And I think that, again, that general broad preparation is so smart for that. And one of the things that I say to your students particularly is, you know, one of the best parts about, you know, the way things go for your students is they have that breadth. Sometimes they say, you know, I just came here to learn X, I know this is what I was here for. And I'll say, well, listen, you know, the beauty of it is the breadth is where it's going to get get you good work, and that you know, the notion, I'll say, you know, sorry, you're not going to be just a scientist. You're going to be a manager. You will work with others, and whether that's a management of a team of 1 yourself, or a team of 7, or a large management role, you will be a manager. And that's so much of what we work with in terms of the learning and teaching and the coursework itself. It, you know, prepares people to be that manager.
Well, it also prepares people to be that hub point when they go to work, because you've had courses in a wide variety of different areas. You've picked up the vocabulary and the working style and the way things are done in those various disciplines. So it makes you the person that can sit there and say, okay, I have a team that has a chemist and a hydrologist and a lawyer and an economist and an accountant, and I have to be able to talk to all of those people. And it gives that hub person a much more realistic viewpoint of the fact that you can't say, oh yes, go out and collect 200 samples and oh, by the way, I'd like the results tomorrow at noon, because you have that understanding that that's not possible, right? So I think it makes you much more effective as a manager, because you understand the techniques and the limitations that go along with those disciplines in a way that somebody that came, you know, through an MBA program might not.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree, and I think again that it's being able to speak those languages, speak to those things. And again, that's why people like our grads, right? That's the story, is they like our grads because you're better able, and as you say, that notion, maybe another way to put it is you're going to be a leader. You know, like the way you describe it, Mickie, is better. You're going to be a leader, not necessarily a manager, but you'll be a leader. You'll have that opportunity. And those people are recognized and they move on.
Yeah, talking about leaders, I know a couple of BSc grads who have gone on to take the the Masters in Leadership program here at Royal Roads, because they found a niche in that area. So, good examples of the leadership role that they play.
And also for our environmental education, Masters in, help me with that one.
Masters of Environmental Education and Communication.
Right.
We've got 2 documentary filmmakers that have come out of that particular program. Somebody that did a run across Canada as a fundraiser for getting kids outside. What else have we had out of there? Yeah. Some really, really interesting thesis work that involved music. Some interesting thesis work that involved a quilt.
And there's that.
So, you know, there's more options than just, I'm sitting in my room typing that. Right?
Which, or wearing a white coat like Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think it gives you more perspective. But I mean, even from an employment standpoint, Matt and I think are in our busy season for the requests for references.
Yeah, references from students.
I've probably had 10 calls in the last week for references for our last BSc class. But the questions that we get asked are all things that really feed into the way that our teaching model works. Because employers want to know, can you work as a team? Do you know how to work independently? Do you know how to lead? Can you listen to other people when you're in a meeting and not, you know, run roughshod over them, right? Are you punctual? All those things that, you know, we're trying to instill as kind of the values that underlie our program are all things that employers really want. And this is, I think, where the ability to really hit the ground running with a new employer comes from, is because all of those things are important pieces that really come together in this.
Right. And that's part of that cohort, right? The fact that people are in a group. I always say, you're getting on a train together. You can get off the train if you need to, but if you stay with the train, it'll go fast sometimes, but you will be guided through, and the team on the train.
And that's one of the other strengths of our program, that the faculty and staff are there to help. And we always keep track of students, and if we see students who are not going in the same direction, we try and help them. We always encourage them to come talk to us. And I was in class yesterday and I told them, you know me, I have an open door policy. You can come in anytime, and if I'm too busy, I'll tell you to buzz off. So you know that. So we have that support system.